Cool, babe. All right, awesome. So here we go. So yes, so I asked Spencer if I could please um, have a little segment of the team meeting tonight to just chat with you guys about a couple things. You know, one is a skill set that is the number one thing that I have done and worked with all of our All Americans. I have trained dozens of scholarship winners in our company. I have had, I believe, the most. I'd have to check with national, but I'm pretty certain that I am the person who has developed the most Silver Cup rookie of the years, meaning reps who just started ended up being number one in the nation. Cool. And so I had Jessica, Sarah Law, Mikey, Hunter. I'm missing two more. There's seven of them. And so that's a lot of number one finishes in the country. And the number one thing that I worked on when I've worked with All American Scholarship winners, Silver Cup champions, people going after really big goals, is how they enroll customers. Okay. And this is not just about, oh, we got to share our goals. Okay. Yes, obviously we need to share our goals, but it's deeper than that. It's not just about sharing goals. It's enrolling customers into who you are and where you're going. And I'm going to show you some examples of this. Okay. And so it's a much deeper thing where they are connected and they're like, wow, like they're inspired or they're, when they hear you speak, or they're just like really impressed and they're like, man, I wish my kid was doing that, you know, and they're just like really excited to be able to connect you with people and help your business grow. Okay. Before I dig into that real quick, I just wanted to mention this. I don't know if Spencer's mentioned this already, but we have a couple things coming up. One, in a week and a half, kicks off our only international competition of the year. Every single office in the world of Cutco, which is primarily Canada, US. We have a little bit in Germany, Korea, and there's one or two other distributors that I'm not sure if they're still open or not internationally. But every single one of these is going to be competing for a 2 week period. Cool. We do this once a year, and then all the managers get together somewhere. We bounce around. This year is going to be in Denver, Colorado, and we will have the CEO, all the corporate staff, all the managers in North America will all be in Denver, Colorado, the second week of October to celebrate, to learn together, to mastermind together, to grow together. And so I'm letting you guys know that because the next week and a half, like we are so excited about making sure you guys are set up for success, that we are crushing recommendation. And again, what I'm going to go over right now impacts everything. Who here would like to have a higher average order? Raise your hand if you would like to have a higher average order. Okay. That was a big thing when I started. My average order was $140 and my manager worked with me and it went up to 400, it went up to 600. And then by the end of my first year, my average order was over $800. Cool. How about closing percentage? Who here would like to close 8 out of 10 times or more? Raise your hand if you'd be excited about that. Okay. When I started, my closing was around 40%. And again, this was something that he's like, watch how you're closing. And there's other things that impact your closing, but this is the only thing that that you can learn that actually impacts every single area. Cool. Higher average order, higher closing percentage, and the most important thing, the gas to your vehicle, which is the amount of referrals. Cool. You will never receive 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 recs or more if they're thinking about people that'll buy Cutco. Did everyone hear me? You will never get that many recommendations. Who the hell knows 20 people are going to buy Cutco? They know no one or they know one or two. So when you hear someone say, oh, I don't know anyone, they're thinking, who will buy Cutco? Or I don't know anyone, or I might have, maybe I have a couple, you know, that I think might like it. That's what they're saying without saying it. Everyone got that? Cool. Everybody has a phone full of people. My phone has over 2,000 people in it. That's not normal. I've been coaching people for 23 years. Okay. But people have social media, right? My grandfather has 400 people on social media. Okay. My hermit mother has 180 people on social media. And so people are connected to others. They just might not know that if they'd be interested in Cutco or not. Can I get a thumbs up if you guys are all with me? Okay. So that's the first thing I always tell people. I'm like, you will never get. And it's even hard, I think, to get 10 if they're just, if they're just thinking about the product. And by the way, everyone is just thinking about the product unless you shift them otherwise. Okay. And so there's two aspects. One is the beginning part of the demo, and one is shifting them back to the beginning part of the demo at the end. Okay. So I'm going to go through that. But basically, the next week and a half, We are preparing. We want to get your foundations. We want to get you guys confident because the goal through the fall, and I've had so many All-Americans in the non-summer. I think it's the easiest time to win a scholarship because it's all about consistency. It's about having a great game plan and following it week in, week out. Elias Palacios, number 10 All-American in the country, his fall, while he was working on his master's program, okay, he had an intense school load. Like it was nuts, okay? And I had him tell me everything, just like, I sat down with Cruz. I know he's in class right now. He'll listen to the recording. But I remember sitting down and I'm like, tell me, I want everything. I don't want almond school. No. I want piece by piece. And I remember when I did Elias's, like when I did Cruz the other day, I'm like, oh, you got some pockets, right? But it's a really good schedule. When I did Elias's, I was like, oh, when do you wipe your butt? When do you like it was packed. Okay. And so he literally only had time to do 3 appointments a week. And sometimes he could do up to 5. All right. Because every other Saturday he had a commitment. And when he didn't have that, he could do 2 more. Everyone with me? Like that was tapped out by schedule. He would have done 20 if he could. And so he was like, Kat, like, what am I really I want to save up as much as I can. I want to do, but I don't have that much time. I go, it's okay. We're going to get picky. I'm going to teach this next week. Okay. And this is when you qualify and always getting the best, like knowing who your best people are. All right. That's a separate talk. And I'll go over that next week as we prepare for the push. But I remember sitting down with him and I was like, look, you got to get picky. And what I mean is every time you see someone, because he was someone that was averaging over 20 referrals per appointment. I averaged 22 recommendations per appointment when I started, and that's handwritten. Okay. It is so much easier to get more with the app. I wish I had the app back then. And so he averaged 20 plus referrals, and I had taught him how to do that. He didn't do that when he first started, but I said, look, Elias, if you do 5 appointments this week, that means you're gonna have 100 plus new referrals. Okay, one, it takes a lot of time to call 100 people and call through to get a hold of them. Okay, so you're wasting time that you don't have because you have a lot of schoolwork to do. All right, so let's be smart. So if you're getting 100, we want to know what are the top ones. So every time you do an appointment, I don't want to call 20, 30 people that they gave me. All right, I don't have time for that. I will if I need to, but I don't want to. And so I want to call their top 5, their top 3 to 5 that they're like, oh my God, my sister, she loves to cook. She loves to entertain. She loves to have the best. Oh my God, my sister-in-law buys the best present. She loves the kitchen. She has 2 houses. Oh, you have to see my best friend. She throws the best parties. Everyone goes there for New Year's and the Super Bowl party. Like she's the party house. Like that's who I want to go to. Cool. I love people that love to cook, love to entertain, have big parties, love to have the best of everything, or they're like the best gift givers. Cool. Those are some great recommendations of people to ask for, by the way. And next week, I'll dig in a little bit more to that. All right. But anyway, so this right here, when I sat with Elias, it was just amazing to watch. And you'll hear me talk about this next week. But he always asked, like, once he got his referrals, hey, if you were me, who are the top 3 to 5, right, that you would see first, Miss Jones? Because I've got an insane school schedule, and I play soccer, and I've got responsibilities at home and in my church and all this stuff. And so I've got to be laser focused. And so if you were me, who would you see first? And they'll tell you, they're like, oh, you definitely have to see Susanna. She loves to throw the. I'm like, okay, cool, Susanna. I'm like, who else? She's like, oh, this person, and they're telling you who. I'm like, beautiful. And by the way, guys, doing his 3 to 5 appointments, when you're seeing top people, guess what? His closing percentage was 93%, I think, that fall. Either 92 or 93%. Okay. That means if he does 10 appointments, 9 of them bought. Okay. And his average order was over $700, y'all. So think about that for a second. If he does 5 appointments in a week, he has 4 sales. His average order is like, it was somewhere between $800 and $900 actually, but let's call it $700. $700. I was like, it was like 8. I'm like crazy things that you remember. I'm like 863, I think it was, but let's call it $700. 700, guys. Times 4, times 4 sales, and you look at that, that's $2,800. Okay. Well, guys, at that point, he was making 50% commissions. That's a $1,400 paycheck. Okay. Even if you're earning 20% commissions off that, that is over a $500 paycheck. All right. That is pretty exciting money when you can only work like 5 hours a week. Cool. And that's something that was not just him, but something I've been able to help a lot of other people be able to do. All right. So just know for the next week and a half, we're getting you guys ready. We're preparing to make sure that you are maximizing your time. All right. Most of you here are students. All right. I was a student too. We have a lot of obligations, we have a lot of responsibilities. And so, one of the things that you get really good at with this job that'll serve you for a lifetime is being really great at time management and really time allocation, being like, I'm going to study here, I'm going to do this here, da, da, right? And so that you know the things you need to do. And you want to include everything, okay? And say, like, anything. Like if you have intramural sports, right? I asked Cruz, like, oh, we're going to know by tomorrow. I'm like, great, let's find out, right? If you're playing sports, if you're in a club, if you do, like, anything and everything needs to be in the schedule to make sure that you have a good flow. All right. So that's something. The second thing I wanted to say is, as we're preparing over the next week and a half for this competition, we need some help. Our goal is to double in size in the next 2 weeks. Cool. And so I told Spencer we're going to throw out a special contest. One, I don't know if he's talked about the cruise, but we still have 3 weeks left to qualify for the cruise. Okay. And to qualify for the cruise, it takes having 3 people, okay, 3 or more, and they need to either it's I have one of two things, either 3 or more, and they combine in sales for over $10,000 between those three, or you have 5 people that hit their first promotion by the first week of October. Okay. And if you do that, you're getting a 6-day, 5-night, all expenses Royal Caribbean cruise that we're leaving out of Galveston January 6th to the 11th. Okay. That is going to be so fun. And we have many of our top Cutco sales professionals. Dante and his wife, who runs the events program, is going to be there. We have some alumni that are going to be coming. And like, what a cool thing to get to go and hang with the best of the best and get to make friends with people who have sold 1 million, 2 million, 10 million, 500,000, like all the big dogs. They're going to be here. Like, this is my trip with them. And then we set a contest for newbies who help us build the team to be able to go. So there might be like 3 or 4 newbies. It looks like we're pacing to maybe have like 6 to 8 newbies. And then there'll be like 25 of the veterans, professionals, and their spouses and families. So it is a phenomenal time. And you could stop share there. Thanks, honey. So we're doing a fun little 48-hour thing. You could text Spencer or you could text me. Cool. Spencer will be in training the next couple days, but you could text either of us. Every one of you, every 3-way text that you do with a friend to introduce us, like you're like, oh, you need to meet my friend Johnny, even if they'll help us for 1 or 2 weeks. Cool. Because we need help for the competition. And you say, hey, Kathy, this is my friend Sue. She's in my, I don't know, math class, or she's in my history class at Lone Star. She was interested in learning more about what we have available. And I'll say, awesome, Nettie, thank you, love. And I'll connect with that person. And so 3-way, so you guys understand what I'm saying is, like, the person you're introducing me to, it's you, me, and them. And you're saying, hey, Kathy, hey, it's Zach. I just want to introduce my friend Billy. He's in my, I knew him from church. Super cool guy. Wanted to know more about what we have available. Cool. So anyone that you guys think might be a good person to help us out, maybe they're looking for cash. Cool. Maybe they are. Maybe they're not, but they'd be down to work a little bit, help us for a big goal, and put something very meaningful on their resume. Cool. Or maybe they really do want experience long term, and they're like, I want to get more confident communicating with people, right? I want to get more comfort presenting myself and being able to stand in front of others, or on the phone. I start shaking when I'm on the phone, and I want to get over that, right? And for some people, this job is personal development. For some people, this job is professional development. And for some people, it's financial, right? That's what they want. They just want to really set themselves up financially. We have all the things. Cool. So I want you guys to think about that. And so at the end, and make a top 5. Who are the top 5 people that you know that, and maybe, and let me say this too, because Julia, this happened to Julia. You might say, oh, I don't have anyone. I already get, like, who are 5 people that you're like, Kat, I'd love for you to meet them. I'll grab coffee with them. I'll meet them at Chick-fil-A. Maybe we'll meet on Zoom, but I want you to meet them, because either you think they would be great, and even if they wouldn't do it, they definitely know other people. This happened where the person I met with wasn't, their schedule was too crazy. They're like, I can't really work right now, but I know a couple people who could. Cool. And the people that they gave me, I gave to the rep, even though my rep, she didn't know them personally. Like, it was her friends, right? But she introduced me to her friend. Her friend and I had coffee. I told her what we were up to. I said, here's what we're looking for. If you know anyone that might be looking for a little extra cash, looking for some professional development, looking for some personal development. Love to meet them. And she's like, actually, yes, my best friend. And I actually think my boyfriend's sister would be this would be really great. Can I introduce you? And I'm like, please do. And those people, one of them started working with us, and they became, Sandra's PR. Okay, even though they were Sandra's friends, friends. You guys with me? So anyone that comes from that will go to you. So every three-way text that you introduce us, just to introduce us to that person, we're going to enter you into a drawing, and we're going to do a $50 gift card. Cool. That we're going to give away next week. So you will get a $50 gift card for every person you introduce us to. By the way, this could be Sakavion. You're at school tomorrow and you talk to someone and you're chatting. You're like, oh, you know what? My company's actually looking for some extra help now going into the holiday season. And they have positions for as little as 1 week. We have a 1 to 5 week program, or it could be all semester part-time. I'd love to introduce you to my manager. I think it'd be really like, if they're like, oh man, I need a job, like keep a lookout, right? One of our top guys, Blake, one of my old reps, Ben, was at Subway. All right. So think about when you guys are out and about, or if you're, and he was at Subway getting a sandwich, and this guy, Blake, was making his sandwich, and they start chit chatting. He's like, hey man, are you possibly looking for extra cash? You got a great personality. And Blake's like, I'm always looking for extra cash. And he's like, I'd love to introduce you to my manager. Be like, I know that they're always looking for great people to bring to our team, but I know that right now we're also looking for some help for the holidays, right? And this was fall of 2019 or 2018. And Ben did a three-way text. He's like, hey, Kat, I just want to introduce you to him. He did a text. He's like, hey, this is Blake. I actually met him at Subway. Really great personality. Was interested in just learning more about what we have available, potentially some extra part-time income. I was like, cool. I met Blake. Blake was one of our top guys. Blake ran a branch. Blake is now married and has 2 kids with my pilot manager from that time, Erica Garza. All right. And that was someone Ben met at Subway, right? So you guys can always keep a lookout, or if you're in school talking to people, or like I said, who are your top 5 friends that are like go-getters, high achievers? Because even if they're not interested, who knows who they know? Cool. So every introduction is a drawing up for $50. And then anyone who has a friend start that you introduce me or Spencer to, in the next 48 hours, anyone who has a friend start next week, we're going to do an automatic $50 bonus to your check. Cool. So that's just a fun thing as we're preparing for the big international competition. It's called SLC that we're doing. All right. Everyone good? So I just want to throw that out there so you guys know. All right. Now let me teach. So I'm going to, so when you guys are enrolling, so there's one thing sharing goals, there's one thing enrolling. Okay. And I don't say this to be mean, but the number one question you have to ask, you have to think that the customer is asking is, okay, so what? All right. If you're like, this is my sister, this is my dog, this is my this, it's like, okay, what does that have to do with me? Right. Like especially if they don't know you, it's like, what does that mean for them? All right. And so you can share things in a way, I could, for instance, I was coaching, one of our girls, and she's doing her goals for me. And when she's showing me her slideshow, it would be something like, I'm just going to use Issa's slideshow as an example, because I don't have the persons I'm talking about in front of me right now. But let's just say, she was sharing with me, and she's like, oh, this is my sister, and she goes to school at here, and like, this is my mom, she has her business, which is really cool. These are some of my friends at school. I'm a senior, at Jordan or whatever high school she went to. This is me traveling and impaired and here. Here's my background and going through. Great, but just so you know, so what? As a mom, as a client, as someone who's busy, I'm like, what does it have to? Okay, great, good for you, but how can we share just this slide in a different way? If I'm talking to a customer, I'm like, so Miss Susie, thank you so much for taking time to see me today. And so guys, I'm gonna give you 7 steps. So step 1 is who you are. Cool. So write that down. So the first thing you're talking about is who you are. So really quick. So Miss Susie, thank you so much for taking time to see me. I'm like, I really appreciate. So here's how I would do this slide different. I would say like, oh, so Miss Susie, I'm currently a senior. I'm so excited. I'm about to graduate this year from Jordan High School. And Just a little about me. I'm like, I grew up, my family's down the bottom. My parents split, earlier on. I've always had unbelievable support from them. And they've really been a source of inspiration, for me. Like my mom has always worked hard to provide anything and everything, even through times where we were a little bit financially tight. She did everything she could to make sure that we never needed. And I'm so appreciative for the example that she's been. And my sister, she's right there to the left of my mom, and the yellow dress is my mom, and to the left is my sister, my older sister, Barbara. She actually did this job, back in the day. Not everyone can say that, but I'll do Issa's in a second. But anyway, sharing about that and I'm like, that she's someone who's always guided me, has always given back. Maybe for some of you, you have a younger sibling or cousins, right? Who here has younger siblings or cousins? Anybody? Some of you guys who has older siblings who have been a great example to them, raise your hand. All right, anybody have older siblings that have not been a great example, and you're like, I want to do everything they're not doing? Raise your hand. All right. I think I was that person at one point. And so these are all different ways this could go. I could say like, oh, that's my older sister. I'm like, Miss Susie, I don't know if you have one of your children who's like the problem child. I'm like, that's my older brother, and my mom's been through the ringer with him. And so for me, like, I want to do everything I can to make my mom proud, to be able to give back, to make things as easy as I can for her. Because that's right. Like that could be one version, right? Another version is, oh, this is my sister Barbara. She's like the biggest influence for me, and she's always been such an encourager and motivator. She's always taught me about like who to learn from and like how to grow. And I'm super excited to be able to show her that like it wasn't a waste, and really be able to make her and my mom and everyone proud, right? Like that could be something. Another example could be like my family didn't grow up with much, right? This was me. We didn't we grew up very humble, small home, like we didn't have much. We had tons of love, tons of encouragement, but I always saw my parents work super hard and do everything they could. But one of the things that for me, I knew once I had a family, like I wanted to be in a different place financially where we weren't always struggling for paycheck to paycheck or having to work multiple jobs, like my parents did. And I'm so grateful for everything they did. And I want to be able to give back and support them, but also be able to set my family up, in the future. That could be another way you talk about family, right? Another example was Ashton. He was like, oh, this is my mom, she's a single mom. She's raised me and she's given me like everything she can. She's always worked multiple jobs to help put me through baseball, to play club, so that I could get a full ride to go to school. She loves beaches. Like my goal is to take her travel around the world, see all the beaches, and just, so that she knows what a great mom she's been to me. Right. And I could keep going, but it's like, when you talk, it's like, oh, this is my mom, this is my sister, she goes to school here. Like nobody cares about that. But when you say this is my sister, she's been a huge influence in my life. She's helped me with X, Y, and Z. And like, I'm just so excited to be able to continue to grow myself and show her, like how big I can take it or how far, whatever. And so you're tying it into like just who you are, but also like how that's influenced where you're going. Okay. So you're not just shooting out facts to shoot out facts. So that's step one, is you always want to talk about just real quick, and that could be really fast. And you can even combine these two slides, or you can have them separate. I have them separate where it's like just a little bit about me, but I go through this fast. I'm just like, oh, so I'm going to pretend, let me give you the steps and then you're going to see me do it. So step one is a little bit about you. Cool. Step two is where you're going. All right. So future goals. So that's step two, is where you're going. Step three, let me know if I'm talking too fast. So step one, who you are. Step two, where you're going. Step three, what Cutco offers that can help you. All right. What Cutco offers that can help you. And so I always say, I'm like, whatever Cutco offers that can help you get there to your future stronger, faster, more equipped, whatever it is, right? And so that's the third thing, is talking about that. The fourth thing is talking about your either campaign or year goal. All right. And so whatever you're working on for the campaign or for the year is the next thing. All right. So who you are, where you're going, what Cutco has that can help you get there faster, stronger, or more equipped. Then like what you're working on for the semester or for the year. The fifth thing would be any current contests that are happening. Okay. So we have different competitions more in the summer. Those who were here in the summer, you saw more happening, but we do have in a week and a half our only international competition of the year. So that would be an example of like contests that are happening now. Some of you are in your fast start. That would be contests that are happening now for you is your fast start. All right. So that would be part of number 5. Number 6 is give back, a give back goal. And so sharing at least what the office is doing, and then maybe you have your own. Like Sarah Law, she gave 5%, 10% of everything she earned, she gave away. 5% went to her church, and 5% went to her older sister, who was a single mom struggling with her nieces and nephews. And so Sarah Law gave 5% to help support her sister and the kids to relieve pressure, right? Billy, there was an organization that he was super involved in, and so he gave 5% of his stuff to that. So some people, like, they already give, or they find something that they're excited about, that if they make $100, they're like, I'm going to give $5 to this charity. That's a very great thing to do, y'all. And that's a whole separate topic of like just abundance recipe and being able to give, and like that comes back around like tenfold. And so if you don't tithe or you don't give to charity, we do, the office does. And this, everything that we sell, I give a percent. And every single month, Spencer and I give to Angel Wings International, and we give to other things too. But we give every single month to Angel Wings International to help support medical missions, and just stuff down in Haiti. We built that clinic. So I'll talk about that. All right. But just something where it's like, they know, like if they purchase, they're also helping people around the world. Okay, right? Like Tom's, you buy Tom's shoes, they're giving one to someone in need, right? Different companies that you do this, they give 10% to, they support the, foundation for breast cancer, or these people support for autism, or whatever it is. Cool. So just sharing what we support is number 6. And number 7 is your sponsorship. Okay. And your sponsorship, making sure they know that you have a special, scholarship that you can get that has nothing to do with sales. And they can sponsor you later. Cool. So that's my 7-step process to really enrolling customers, so you understand the psychology and the flow of sharing goals. Cool. So let's see it in action. All right. So I'm going to pretend to be Isa. So this could be totally horrible, and she's like, I would never say that, or it could be great, but I'm just going to pretend to be her because I have her slideshow. And then I'll show you, I'll give you another example, because I met with Cruz earlier and worked on his goals. And so I'll pretend to be him and kind of walk through what he would say. All right. But let me tell you, first thing is, if you guys don't have a slideshow, which Isa jumped on earlier today and she worked on it for like half an hour, that's the best thing you can do in the next, 48 hours, is grab 30 minutes so you can update the pictures. I already have the slideshow made, and it's very easy to edit. Cool. And that way you have something that you can either email it to your customer, or you can screen share and walk through your goals with them. And then the rest of it, they're just seeing your face while you're talking and going through the presentation. But I don't know if you guys have heard, who's heard the phrase, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Raise your hand if you've heard that before. Okay. That's a popular saying. And the fact is, like, they're going to connect so much deeper when they see pictures than just you talking. All right. So here we go. I am Isa Fagundes. So Miss Nettie, thank you so much again for just taking time out to see me today. I know there's probably a million other things you could be doing. Moms are so busy, and I just want to say thank you. And so just so you know a little bit about me, currently, and I know, or if you know them personally, then it's like, hey, I don't know if you know, but I am finally in my senior year. I'm so excited to be graduating. And if it's someone I don't know, I'm like, I don't know if mom told you. I don't know if Miss Sandra told you, whoever you know that you guys know together. Maybe it's your friend. But I'm like, I don't know if they told you, but I'm actually currently in my senior year. So excited to be wrapping up high school and getting ready for the next chapter. I was born in Texas, part Colombian, and just, I love family. Like, I'm part Bolivian. Oh my gosh, and Venezuelan, and which really, and again, if you're telling them where you're from, all right, which I know she had that on there, which I love. You don't need to do that, by the way. I never had that on mine, but if you do that, get something, like, explain something good about it, right? Like, for me, Latin culture is all about family, right? Food, fun, and so I grew up and just with an incredible family who love to enjoy life, throw parties, spend time together. Love traveling, and getting to travel and see some of the world. But growing up, it wasn't always all perfect. My parents split up earlier, but I've been so blessed to still have so much support from my mom and dad separately, and just they co-parent really amazing. And even through tough times and tough financial times that we might have had, like they always work so hard to just provide for us. And I am so grateful for the example my parents set and just how they've supported me. And my sister, she's actually right in the middle to the left of my mom is in the yellow dress. So right to the left of her, Barbara, she actually used to work with Cutco, like back when she got out of high school like 7 or 8 years ago. She worked for Cutco, and she actually moved up and was an assistant manager. She actually did the entrepreneurship internship the company has and ran her own business. And she talks about how much that impacted her and how much she learned and how much she grew. And so she really recommended that when I became 17, that I needed to work for this company because there's so much that helped her develop and really gain confidence and professionalism. And I'm really excited to do the same thing for me. And so I am working really hard so that next year I can start at Blinn and do my foundations there in the nursing program there. I want to study abroad in Spain and have a chance to experience culture. They have some really cool programs where I can study abroad and then transfer to A&M. And so long term, I want to do aesthetic, whatever it is. I'd love to have a penthouse in Miami, which is full of, Latin American culture and getting a chance to immerse myself that in a big city, and build a business where I can have financial freedom, so that I can give back to my family, so that I can travel the world freely, so that I can just have time for the things that make me super happy, which are like spending time with friends and family and travel. And then I love cars. I love these cars. These are my dream cars, and it'd be really fun run around with my pops, and friends. But those are just some fun things. But what I really love about Cutco, and I'm really excited, is that they have a lot of things to really help set me apart when I graduate, right? They have a lot of things I can add on my resume with just professional development, internships, scholarships. Personally, I already feel like in the first couple months, and for you might be the first couple weeks, I already am feeling more comfortable talking to people and more confident, where I'm naturally maybe a little bit more shy at first, and then when I'm comfortable with someone, I'm like super outgoing. And this is helping me get comfortable with first impressions and building rapport, which is super cool. So super excited about that. And so this right here on the top left, this is something I'm working for this fall, is getting my President's Club letter. This is a hand signed letter from the president of the company saying I'm awesome and they need to accept me for whatever program, or job or internship, whatever it is. And so that's a big goal of mine for this fall around my high school schedule, is to earn that President's Club letter. There's Consistency Club. That's also a really big focus, is every single week, getting onto the newsletter week in, week out. If I complete, 5 appointments every single week, I'm going to give myself a shot to do this. And that's super awesome to put on my resume. So companies and grad school programs or things like, they know, like they can count on me, that I'm dependable. I'm a consistent performer. I'm not just like a one-hit wonder. Then I mentioned their scholarships that I can earn. But the thing I'm most excited is on the top right, the Leadership Academy. This is a program that they run each semester, and you have to interview for it prior and get accepted for the semester. And it is basically like a college level class, well, a grad student program, where they teach leadership, business, like an entrepreneurship, communication strategies, and foundations of finances. Okay. And if you guys are like, well, I didn't know that, like you can just read what's on there, like John Maxwell Leadership, Dave Ramsey Financial. Like these are some of the things that we do in here. But they basically have this all into one, and it's actually a free program that they do throughout the semester. We meet once a week, but you have to get accepted into it. And this is something that I can earn college credits doing it. I can earn management internships. I could actually do what my sister did, the entrepreneurship internship, and run my own business, which I'd love to have that experience, to help my mom's actually starting her own business right now, and to be able to help with that. Or if I want to have my own clinic in the future, and knowing how to start a business or build a business, or if I go work for a big clinic that's already well known in Miami, that I'll get hired, for a high level job because of my resume and my ability to lead people. And so obviously, Miss Susie, you know, the higher up you want to go in a company, the more people will report to you. And so I'm just excited to do everything I can to set myself up to have the best opportunities possible. And so this is actually this is last fall's curriculum, but this is like an example of some of the stuff that they're teaching us in this program with time management, emotional intelligence, public speaking, goal setting, and just a lot of life skills to help us succeed at the highest levels. And so my boss actually does executive coaching for multi millionaires, and she goes over a lot of the stuff with them, and we get to learn this for free, which is pretty cool. And so this fall, like I said, one of my big things that I want to do is earn my President's Club letter. So we need to put that for you, replace the scholarship with President's Club. But I want to earn my President's Club letter. I want to get accepted into Leadership Academy for the spring campaign. I'd love to be able to save $5,000 over this school year so that I have the money to move in for school, because I have to pay for my housing when I go to Blinn. So that's a big focus of mine. So thank you again for taking time out of your schedule to do an appointment with me. We'll fill this out at the end, but if I do 75 appointments by the end of the year, I will hit my goal. So thank you, Miss Susie, again, so much for being a part of that. And then there are, so far I've been able to. This was actually my first week before when I first started, before I left on vacation with the family before school started. I was able to hit 2 promotions, and I was one of the top reps in my office for the month of July, which was really cool. Number 2, and then so I was ranked regionally and divisionally, and then I already hit 3 promotions since July, and I'm eligible to be a team leader. So really excited about already getting a chance, to advance. This competition actually starts on the 24th. So right now we're just kind of building momentum and preparing for it. But the entire company is going to be competing for a 2-week period from the 24th to October 7th. And my goal is to do a little extra during that time, so I could do 15 appointments in the 2-week period and give myself a chance to sell $5,000 or more. And so, if you do end up seeing anything you like, by the way, these contests are based on sales. And like I said on the phone, you don't have to get anything. I get paid just to do it. Cool. But keep a lookout, because if you guys see any holiday gifts, birthdays, weddings, anniversaries, there's a lot of client appreciation and Christmas gifts that people purchase. This is really great stuff. It's guaranteed forever. Whoever you give the gift to is going to have a heck of a product, and it helps me out a ton. Cool. So keep a lookout. But if not, like I said, I do get paid just to do it. All right. And if you end up purchasing something, just know that you're also giving to missions around the world. Our company is really big on giving back and contribution. They do a lot of fundraisers for Alzheimer's, breast cancer, different things like that. And then my office, we actually help build this medical clinic down in Haiti. And so we do mission trips every year. Just since COVID, we haven't been able to go back, and things are not good in Haiti right now. But we're still sending money and support to help provide free medical care for people in need in the area that can't afford it. So I know we're trying to raise money to have solar panels on the clinic so that it can save a lot of costs with electricity over there. So that's something really cool as well. All right. And by the way, I'm sure you didn't put away a couple grand waiting for the knife girl to come by. And so this isn't cheap stuff. It is an investment, and we'll go through everything. I'll show everything really quick, and we'll go through prices, but just so you know, it is Miss Susie's had it for 30 something years. Miss Sandra's had it. My family's had it for over 20 years. And so it is an investment that people buy once, use every day, and they're going to have forever. All right. And then the last thing, and I'll show you the products real quick, and then, we'll wrap up, is my sponsorship. And so this actually has nothing to do with sales. It's a free way to help me, just like Julie introduced me to you. And I'll tell you about it at the end, but my goal is to sell in all 50 states. And so we'll talk about this later. But again, I get paid every time I do it. And so that's just for introducing me to nice people. Cool. So thank you again, Miss Susie. I just sent you a link to download an app that's going to let you give a little bit of feedback on my presentation. That way, and we'll do it at the end, but just if you can download it now, that way it's there. It'll have a couple questions that you'll need to answer so that they know I did my appointment, but also feedback to help me get better. Cool. So if you want to click that so it downloads and we have it ready, that'll be great. All right. All right. So you've never seen Cutco before? I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, you're going to love this stuff. Or so how long have you had Cutco, or how'd you hear about it? I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And then we're going to dig into about the company. Everyone got that? So this replaces everything in your demo, in the interactive demo, prior to the downloading the app. Cool. Is what that does. And so I'd love to hear really quick. And by the way, another example of this, and I'll just say this, like, I'm going to just do this off the cuff, but with Cruise, I told him, I said, when you're talking to people, and share with them, be like, oh, so, Cruise, I'm like, I actually, went to high school in Houston. I'm going to school right now, Oral Roberts, in Oklahoma, to small Christian college, and working on my master's program. I actually heard about this job from a buddy of mine that referred me, and I had no idea how much this company provided for young people, like how many opportunities, resume boosters, things to just help us really stand out in the future. And I'm really excited about being able to take advantage of that, and so I've been studying business administration in my undergrad, and then now I'm leaning into entrepreneurship. I feel like God's really calling me to that. I've always been in the ministry. My friends and I started this basketball ministry thing, and he talks about that. It's really cool. And I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen, but I know that in the future, like I want to continue building a place where I can build the kingdom, where I can give back, where I can minister to others. And I know that entrepreneurship is something God's put on my heart. And so I'm excited about this company to help me develop the foundations in personal selling and networking and time management and organization. And they have internships I can even do here to help me have my first go at running a business, right? And be able to use that experience as a launch pad into the future for whatever God has in store for me, and maybe it's starting and working as a top executive for an existing company. Obviously, I'm going to have a lot of competition for that. And so doing anything that I can to help me stand out prior to that. Cool. And so the company has scholarship, and talk about what they have. And so really doing my best to gain as much on my resume, but just also real practical application. Because like I said, I am about to graduate, and I'm excited to see what options are out there and really stand out amongst my peers. And so this fall, I've got a pretty intense schedule. I work as an RA at the school. So resident director, I do intramurals. We help with ministry programs. I work with the dean, and then all of my studies. So I work very part-time with Cutco. But my goal this fall is to earn the presidential letter, hand signed letter by the president, and everything else is kind of the same. Cool. Whatever you're excited about, whatever you're going through. But I want to hear feedback real quick before we go into phone jam. But I'd love to hear, just from hearing that, what stood out to you, right? Like what did you like? What stood out? Because there are some, I'm sure I shared goals a little bit different than you have. At least the 3 people I've heard so far, it was just very like, this is that, and then this is this, and this is that. I'm like, I don't care about that. You're informing me. You're not enrolling me. Does that make sense? And so you want to share stuff where they're like, oh, wow. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, that's great. Oh, I didn't know the company offers stuff like that. Things like that. So let's hear some feedback. What were some of the biggest takeaways? What did you like most? What were some of the biggest takeaways? I don't know, Isa, if you want to go first, since I pretended to be you. But love to hear from you guys in terms of what was most helpful, impactful, any ahas, any light bulbs that went off that you're like, oh man, I didn't think about that, or I really like this. Let's hear it. Yeah, unmute yourself.
Like you said, like when I was doing my goals in the beginning, I didn't really like make a connection. Like there was no connection between me and the customer. It was just me like going through it and then like just pointing at things, not really like, yeah, making a connection. And then after this, like I learned that you need to make a connection to be able to like have them feel like, I don't know how to put it into words, but like, yeah, a connection is like the main thing that you need to be able to sell and stuff.
All right, awesome. What else? Sakavion, Nettie, those who have been here, what do you notice? What stood out to you? What did I maybe do a little bit better than you?
Well, definitely going through the steps. I forgot about going through the steps in my even in my own head. Like going back to the basics. Sometimes you just need to go back to the basics.
Oh,
And so
1000%. And that happened to like all of us, you know, like I remember at one point, like Tay was going off on some random crap. I'm like, what are you doing? And every time I have a rep come back home for the summer, like every summer when Sarah Law come back, Tay would come back from Ole Miss. The number one thing we would do is we would sit for 30 to 60 minutes and we'd work on their goals. I'm like, tell me your goals for the summer. I'm like, all right, let's tell me again. Nope, adjust this. I'm like, so what? So what? And I would do that to her. I'm like, so what? Why are you telling me this? And I'm like, you got to tie it in. How is this forming you? How is this forming who you are or where you're going? How is this tied into how can I help you? Why do I want to be a part of your journey? Right? Like if I want to be a part of, because this is not just a one-time, because I was telling Cruz earlier, I said, you're starting to build your network for the future, for your future business, future referral, who knows, right? Some of my guys have gone on to open their own firms, practices, medical, law, accounting, engineering, realtors, teachers, you know, like different areas, and whether you're fundraising or you're whatever you're building, having already an email base, a database of people that you can connect with who have been following your story. You can say, hey, I graduated, I did it, or hey, I opened my firm like I told you I would. And they're like, oh, heck yeah. And they can celebrate with you and they're a part of that. And people give referrals, right? And when you open your next business, all of our guys who have done that properly, their next business went off like boom right away because they had all these past clients that they always kept in touch with, because we usually email them once or twice a year with updates and sales. And then when they graduated, like, hey, I just graduated, I'll keep you posted on what's happening. And then when they open their business, they're like, hey, if you know anyone that needs help with roof repairs, right? One of our guys started a roof repair company or partnered there. Please let us know. We're always here to serve. Thank you for all your help with Cutco. I'm super excited for my next venture. You know, keep me posted. And if you ever need Cutco, I'm your knife guy for life, right? Because you can always put in orders. And he got referrals, right, from past customers who now knew, okay, Jay's in a roofing business, and so if they need a new roofer, a storm came through, who do they call? Jay, because now they knew he was the roofing guy, right? Or now they know you're an accountant or whatever it is, right? So don't think about it just, oh, I sold knives or not. No, it's how can I build my network? How can I meet people that I want to meet, people that can mentor me? How do I keep building my clientele base? Because in the future, who knows what referrals, what connections, what will serve you for whatever you're doing in the future, whether you're doing ministry and giving back and raising funds. That's been huge, by the way. I raised over $50,000 for that clinic from past customers because emailing them and letting them know, hey, we're in Haiti, we're breaking ground, we're doing this, we're doing a big fundraiser, you know, and sending and past customers who are like, put me down for, you know, they put $100 on my fundraising page, or $500 or $20 or $50, and I raised tons of money from past customers who were just so excited about what I was doing. And if I didn't have the other people didn't raise as much, but they didn't have 500 people to email, right? They had like 12 people to call. But I had built, I had my base is about 500 people of my clients. And so easy peasy, you know, even if 10 of them gave $100, I just raised $1,000. Do you guys see that? You know? And so this is a huge tool. People that are master networkers, who that like that, it impacts you guys so much for the future. So just think bigger about what's possible. Or also James Rushing. Initially, he was for sure going into oil and gas, right? He went to A&M, he was going into oil and gas. And so he did Cutco through college. And every time he would do appointments and get referrals, he would ask, oh, who do you know in oil and gas? Who do you know in this? And we're going to talk about this more next week. But guys, he ended up graduating and deciding to open his own business. He's a gifting consultant and branding. He now works with companies, and some of those people that he sold Cutco to, who worked in oil and gas, who worked at Exxon or Shell or whatever, who worked with different companies, they brought him in, and he has accounts with some of these companies where he does their client retention and appreciation program, and he helps them with gifts for client appreciation, right? Like, and that's his business gifting, and he's crushing it. And he's working with people that he wanted to work with, but he has a lot more flexibility. He loves what he's doing, and he has his own business, right? And he had tons of people because he did Cutco through college. He did Cutco for 5 years before he graduated from A&M. And then when he decided, you know what, I really want to just, I love this. I want to keep doing this, but I want to do it in a more professional way. And I want to work with these big Fortune 500 companies or these oil companies. And I want to be their person who helps with client retention, right? And appreciation gifts. And that's what he does now, right? And I could go on and on with different stories, but you guys have no idea the vehicle that you have right now to help set you up for your future. And so get clear. How is this going to help you? Where are you going? What do you need? Do you need certain personal skills? Do you need money to start a new venture? Do you need connections and networking to help you build blank business? Think about all those things and how you can impact and minister to others and utilize the gifts that you've been given. So I'm going to stop talking because I could talk forever. So thank you, Spence, for letting me jump in. I don't know if I can stop this recording. They like redid all this. Let's see here. Spencer, we'll have to cut this. Anyway, so any other feedback that you guys have before we wrap this up, and we're going to kick off our phone jam.
Stressing the charity.
Yeah, giving back for sure.
Yeah, it gives a good affirmation to the customers so they can feel like they're giving their money to more than just knives. So it's really good.
Absolutely. People like to be part of bigger things, like things that are making an impact in the world. So for sure. What else? Other takeaways? What was helpful?
I mean, there was a part where you like briefly touched on Cutco not being cheap.
Oh, I'm glad you noticed that. I didn't dig into psychologies of like framing and setting up for bigger sales, but that is a part that I learned was planting seeds as you go, hey, I'm sure you didn't put away a couple grand waiting for the knife guy to come by. But I do want to show you why Cutco costs what it does. Or, hey, Cutco, it's not cheap, it's an investment. But like Julie's had it for this long. And like there's different little phrases, and we'll go over that another day. Or you could watch one of my videos that I have, which is like 7 steps to a sale. And like we have a lot of good content. Just set up coaching calls. You guys get free coaching every week. Do you know how much I charge people outside of Cutco for coaching? Does anyone know? Has Spencer told you guys what I charge? The lowest is $500 an hour. Cool. So $500 to $750 an hour is what I charge for executive coaching.
Jordan looks confused.
You a lawyer?
All right.
No, when you're good at business, people pay you a lot of money.
I'm a badass business executive, and I know how to drive that. And I work with multimillionaires and helping them elevate their business, elevate their, whatever they need to do, client acquisition, retention, back-end systems, culture, teams. And when I sit down to dig in with someone and their business, that's what I charge. 500 is if they do a big package, I discount it and it ends up being $500 an hour. If they do a la carte, it's $750 an hour. Okay. And I don't say that to brag I'm just telling you, like, you have incredible coaches with Spencer and I, and we charge a lot of money outside of Cutco, and you guys have it for free. Like, we set this up to help you. For us, this is a big contribution. This is part of our legacy and helping shape the future leaders of our world, and so you guys have access, take advantage, like when you're younger, until you're at 30,000, we provide free coaching. Once you're over 30,000, it's not free. You guys pay for mentors and people there, but from 0 to 30,000, we pay, we don't charge you for it. All right. Or I pay people to help you, right? Between our events coordinator, other Cutco sales professionals that'll do talks, and, Francisco Herrera, I think, is going to do a phone jam this Saturday. And, these are high level leaders. We pay them. We take care of them for you. So I just want to say, take advantage. You guys have a lot of great resources, and some of you guys are not taking advantage. You're like showing up to a meeting halfway or not really, and just kind of going through the motions. It's like, are you kidding me? You guys, one, have a vehicle that can do so much for you financially, so much for you personally, so much for you professionally, whatever the heck you want. Get clear. What do you want to get from this? It's like a buffet. Cutco's a buffet. You can get a lot of stuff from it, but you got to get clear on what you want. Okay. So that we can help you. Spencer and I are super excited to build an absolutely dynamic team. In the next 3 weeks, we're looking to promote five assistant managers in training. All right. Team leaders and people who are excited about being AMITs just to start learning the ropes. And in October, we'll be promoting some new assistant managers. If you're interested in learning leadership, most students, it'll be 1 day a week. Cool. And we'll see which day is the easiest. And you can still do homework and stuff that day, but 1 day a week that you work in the office, and we're able to help you keep growing. Right. Or as a team leader, you don't work as an assistant manager in training, you work in the office a day and you're a team lead. Anyone can be a team lead without being an assistant manager. And that means that you're helping mentor 2 or 3 people, and we do some fun things and perks for you guys on that. So make sure to talk to us about that, because we're here to help you guys grow. We're here to help you guys elevate. And if you're not taking advantage of us, if you're not taking advantage of coaching, if you're not taking advantage of advancement opportunities, you're really missing out with Cutco. You really are. So I've got to go start bath time with kiddos and all the fun stuff over here. Thank you, babe. But I just want to say, and you can stop the recording.